Happy Thursday, you guys. I think, am I live? Yes, I am. Okay. Good morning, you guys. Welcome back to Conversations with Allieetoile. We are already at episode 6 now. This is really exciting. And yeah, hey guys, if you're joining me now, welcome. Nice to see you. Hope everyone is healthy and doing well. Today I've got a very, very special guest for all of you, someone who is very near and dear to my heart, not only as a mentor in the ballet field, but someone also who's very near and dear to me as a person in my life. And that person is the wonderful Mr. Ariel Serrano. He is the artistic director of the Sarasota Cuban Ballet School here in Sarasota, Florida, and he is also one of the most influential trainers that I have had in my career, so I could not be more happy than to have him on here and be part of this. So, let me get him on here just a minute. This is his first time doing an Instagram live, so bear with us if there's any technical difficulties. We should be ready to go here in any moment. And in the meantime, how's everyone doing? Thumbs up if everyone is still okay and everyone is still healthy and doing somewhat okay at this time. Oh, there they are. Okay, let me get them on here then. Okay, add should be on here. Let's see, connecting. Good morning!
Good morning, Allie. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well today.
Good, good. Alright, can everyone who's watching us right now, could you guys give us a thumbs up if you guys can hear everything okay and can see everything okay? Let's see, let us know, don't be shy. Well, anyways, for those who are just joining us now, I was just introducing, well, obviously the lovely gentleman who I have with us today is the one and only Mr. Ariel Serrano. He is the current artistic director of the Sarasota Cuban Ballet School, and he is also one of the most influential trainers who I've been able to call like my ballet dad since I was about 12, 13 years old. So he has been obviously an amazing figure of support and amazing figure of, you know, mentoring for me from a very, very young age, and I could not be more happy to be able to have his wisdom be part of this series. So without further delay, I'm going to pass the metaphorical mic to you, and if you could just tell everyone who's joining us now a little bit about yourself, you know, who you are, where you're from, and yeah, what are you doing now?
Well, let me start by saying today is a very special day, Ali. A day like today, we opened the school 9 years ago. And a day like today, 20 years ago, my beautiful daughter Camila was born. So today is all around a special day. Even though it's yes, even though it's a nightmare of the time for everybody around the world. Today I have a lot of positive things happening, and especially talking to you now. Having to talk to you about the school, about our beginning is special. I know you since you were a little girl, and I saw you grow into a beautiful young woman as a beautiful dancer. So today is special for us.
Oh, well, I'm beyond happy to have you here, and I'm very, very much excited to be able to share your knowledge and your wisdom with so many people around the world, near and far. And so with that being said, I wanted to dive into some of the Q&As that were sent in, and then of course be able to get your wisdom, because you are coming at this from the standpoint of you've had a professional career, you've been a dancer, done all the principal roles, all of the amazing things that we all hope to have in our career. You are also currently a director of a school, so you have the insight and you have the perspective of someone who is in charge and leading a program for young students. And furthermore, you have the perspective at this time of a father, and not only in the sense of being, you know, you have your own children, who I'm very honored to say are some of my closest friends, but a father figure to many of the students who come into your life through the school, which I'm one of myself. So yeah, I'm very happy to be able to discuss some of this with you, because I think that this is, a lot of these topics are not easy to discuss, especially in the time that we're in right now, because it's so easy to sometimes talk about physically what we're going through. My throat is hurting me, or my knee isn't feeling so good today. But it's very, very difficult to talk about things that are affecting us emotionally speaking, and I think that is one of the things, one of the biggest tools that I have walked away with from having your training in my life, is you work us just as much mentally as you do physically. And so that first question is, how important is it to nurture a student or even a professional? How important is it for them to be looked after mentally as it is physically?
Well, to begin with, my belief is that even when you become a professional, you need someone to support you, not only for the technical part, but also for the mental part. Me and my wife and I both are interested in students, because we believe that's the base for a professional dancer. So from the very beginning at our school, we insist in that sort of support, in that mental support. To speak dancer, you have to be able to speak dancer. You have to be able to speak like one. Obviously, once you went through a school like we did, my wife and I went through the National Ballet system in Cuba. We graduated from the National Ballet School in Cuba. We both danced under Maestro Fernando Alonso. We were very, very lucky to dance under his advice and time in Ballet de Camagüey. So we grew up sheltered in a way. We grew up helped in a way that give us the base to do the same with our kids and to our students. So we understand what being a student was. We understand what being a professional dancer was. And now we pass that on being a teacher. You just have to support. You just have to be there for them. People see the glamorous and the beautiful performances in those days, and the once aha moment, where, oh my God, this kid nailed the performance. It was all awesome. But people don't see what happened behind the scene. People don't see what every day, Monday to Saturday, is. They don't see when they wake up without not really wanting to work so much, because the body sometimes don't want to do it, unless you understand that, unless you have lived that, you cannot really support a student. So we focus in that part. Obviously, our Cuban technique has helped us. The program that we use, which it was was made by Ramona de Sa, our school architecture, I think, and our school keeper for more than 50 years. She's been in charge of the national school in Cuba. She helped us prepare a program for our kids, for our way. Not the same way that is in Cuba, because obviously it's a different system. For you, like, for example, when you were growing up, you had to do homeschool, you have to do a lot of different things, you have to travel from far away. So the way that we teach that Cuban school is different, because we have to accommodate to our culture here in America. So we have to give a little bit of room for failure, and we have to embrace for the good days as well. So overall, I think it's the network support, is the being there for them, is the guidance when they need, is the understanding when they are not ready to go one day, and the love that we give them, because they are our family. We have, my wife and I have 2 kids, but we have many other kids, such yourself. They were part of our life, and they're still part of our life, and we still look after, and we still care about and worry about.
Absolutely.
And okay, so that's part of it. I mean, you have to support the kid. You have to speak dancer, and you have to support them, and you have to just help them through.
Absolutely. And I think that having that sort of a philosophy, at least for me, because I can say I've lived that with you. I've gone through the school with you, and even now at this age and at this stage in my career, I still come home to that, and I can't agree more that that kind of a philosophy where you guys challenge us physically and you have such high expectations for us, but you approach it in such a healthy way and you nurture the person. A huge part of ballet is obviously the commitment and the dedication, and there's so many sacrifices that come along with that. But during my time as a student with you, and every time I come home to see you, it's so refreshing and it's so wonderful to be able to know that while your intention is to better Allie the ballerina, your primary focus is on Allie the person throughout the whole process. And so I think that speaks volumes not only about the way you teach, it speaks volumes about you and your lovely wife Wilmian, who is an amazing instructor at this school, along with so many other people that you have being part of this. So I think that's absolutely fabulous. And that leads kind of into the next question. Obviously, what is the current situation with the Sarasota Cuban Ballet School? It's very interesting because unlike companies, you guys are definitely not a small business, but you guys are not at that same level as, say, Royal Ballet or Birmingham Royal Ballet. You guys are the stepping stone to getting there. And so what is the current situation, and what are you guys doing to be able to continue to motivate and to continue to inspire your students to work through this very challenging time? And with that, it's very difficult too, because I've already seen that you are offering, bar and some, training resources for your students, like on the computer. But a big part of that is, how do we ensure that we're doing that safely at home? How can we ensure that what we're doing right now is not going to negatively affect us when we get back?
Well, for the first question, we are a local school, a community school per se, although we have kids that come from all over the world, from Japan to France, from Puerto Rico, Mexico, all over. We have international students in our school. Although we are a small size organization, we are a serious organization. The board of directors that we have at the moment is an incredible group of professionals that are just the same way we guide the kids and the families to become a family for ourselves. The board of directors is also a part of that family, and they are working hard, very, very hard, to ensure that when all this done, and I'm really proud of the sponsors and the supporters, because they have come big in this difficult moment. So in that regard, we are very positive that we will have a school when all this is said and done. The other side, because of again what I talked to you before, we have a method and we have a program and we have a syllabus. We are doing these online classes, and hopefully by next week we're going to do another one. And basically, ballet, you need a special platform to do ballet. You need a studio, it's from floors. You need your bar. Ballet people know what you need to have to do a decent class and a good class. So what my concept and my idea is, take this difficult time, take this isolation, sort of speak, to become like a cleanser, okay? I think we should, and that's what I did on the bar, and that's what I do to them, what I explain to them when I talk to them. I want them to work in things, basic things, cleaning steps, doing long sets of tendus, doing long sets of dégagés, doing a lot of balance in two legs, changing to one leg, clean position. So sort of like self-imposed cleaning session. because we cannot move. And then right now you have to hold out of the counter your iron board, your chair, whatever,
Yeah.
TV stand. So there you cannot do so much, but yes, you can do semi-static things that can be helpful alongside with conditioning. I tell them, I talk to them, and part of being in touch and part of I love this technology. I cannot operate it by any means, but I love it because you can actually have a conversation and talk to people from the distance. I explained that this is the time to be more calm. This is the time where we have to practice a lot of self control, just the same safe self control that you have to apply when you're dancing and you're finding your balance and you're finding your turns and you're finding your beautiful direction to jump. Now you have to apply it mentally. You have to go back into looking old videos of ballet, high professional companies, Royal Ballet, American Ballet, Birmingham Royal Ballet, Opera de Paris, all those big
Sure.
companies. Look at videos, read about history in ballet, giving them a lot of tools that not necessarily you will have to be so mobile, but still you are, soaking in some of that beautiful art. And training is basic. Now is a basic training. We cannot intend to do so many, elaborated things because it's impossible. It's not going to work, and it's going to be against what the law of ballet is. So right now, I told them to be realistic. All of those older kids that they understand, because the young ones you speak to them in a different way. But to the older kids, the pre-professional kids, the one that did auditions, the one that went to competitions. So this is for everybody a shock. This is for
Definitely.
everybody a difficult problem. So right now we cannot intend to think, oh my God, I have to keep my same shape. I have to. No, you are not going to do it like that. You just have to maintain yourself. So when everything is done and set, you can come back and restart with a better, with a not so stiff body, with a not so out of shape body. But that's all you can do right now. Otherwise, you can hurt yourself.
Definitely, definitely. And it's very interesting. You mentioned the word being realistic. And I think that this is a very unique question that somebody just sent in. I've got my computer here and people are just writing and
Yeah.
writing and writing. So I wanted to pick some of these because I think they're amazing. And one of them was, obviously, I know that you have it at the school right now because I always follow what you guys are doing, and I absolutely love to watch your current generation. You guys recently just went to Youth America Grand Prix, which, if you don't know what that is, YAGP is one of the largest student-based ballet competitions in the world, and you guys absolutely just took everything, several different first place
Yes.
categories
Yes.
in pas de deux and classical, and a lot of top 12 recognitions as well, which is so, so wonderful. And I'm so proud of the students who were able to succeed like that. That's an amazing thing, because that was definitely fast, or rewind, what was it now? 2013, when we went for the very first time. That was definitely one of the highlights. That was kind of what started all of this. Like, okay, wow. But back to being realistic, you have all of these promising students, many of which who are right on that edge of transitioning from pre-professional to professional. And obviously, the world right now is on hold. And with that, there's no ballet auditions at the moment. Nobody's auditioning. And then, of course, we don't know what's going to be happening here with the socioeconomic standpoint of things. So we don't even know if there will be jobs to be had when we come out of this. So what advice could you give to your students or to other students out there who are in that position and are unsure what their employment will be like in the future?
Well, I'm of the belief that everything has their own tempo. My daughter, for example, my Camila, she did a handful of auditions like many other of my kids. About 5 or 6 of them did audition this year to move on into the next level. So with this situation that is currently happening, I have spoke to them and told them, there is always one more year. There is all. I mean, the world stand still right now for everybody. So it's not only the group of people that are feeling this, are having this situation. It's the whole global community
Yeah.
having this situation. So be patient, give yourself time, keep yourself in shape, let things come up to normal, and then we'll deal with that when we get to that bridge. Because otherwise, you just get too much smoke into your head, and you won't be able to see reality right in front of your eyes. We are fortunately that we support our kids from the very beginning until the very end. And if they don't find any job this year, the school is open for them, and they will be part of the class, and they will be part of the school, and be part of the performances. So
Absolutely.
I hope directors in schools, in small the schools anyway, take this position, and I believe all of them will take this position. You know, one thing that you talk about, well, a couple of things. First of all, uh, I have to say thank you to your mom, to Connie. Connie was the person, yes, because Connie was the person that opened our eyes to competition. So coming from Cuba, my wife and I, we always thought, okay, competition is for, you know, in our Cuban system, per se, your director, Carlos Acosta, my dear friend, we were all behind Carlos when he went to Lausanne. We were in Italy together training for his competition, but we were all behind one dancer for that big competition to represent our school and our country. And I did. That's what my mentality was. And your mom told me, Ariel, you should come and see. I mean, this is a different set of competition. This is for the young kids, just to be seen and to see how, you know, how their peers are. And I was kind of not really having it.
I remember.
You remember, right? Until she convinced me, and then I went to see it. And when I went to see it, I realized, I said, okay, my kids are that good and better, I think, you know, in my opinion. So I took the lead from your mother, and I talked to my wife, and then we trained you guys, the whole group. I think three or four of you went to the competition in Atlanta in 2012,
13, was it?
2013, I think.
We're
And we
old
won
now. What happened?
Yes. So it was the beginning. It was the beginning of what the school is right now, because out of those competition and those meets, a lot of the students saw the result and tried to came to us to train. So I have to say thank you to your mom for that, because I think it's important. So I tell my kids to be patient. I also want to talk about the small studios. See, there are big schools affiliated to the big companies, and those are big institutions that they have been there forever. But ballet is global, and ballet is a community work. For example, on our region here in Sarasota, we have the studio is not that big. We only have 70, 80 students, but we have a really good caliber student, and we do have a really good training for them. Uh, Students like yourself, student like my son, student like Michael Mendes, student like Lucy Hamilton. I mean, a lot of them, they are out there right now in professional companies, came out of this small place.
Yeah.
So I am so happy to be affiliated also to the YAGP, because YAGP opened the door for those small schools like mine. And the small schools are feeding the best talent to the big school and the big companies. So right now, I want to sort of recognize that too, you know, for the small studio that is out there and thinking, oh my God, we're going to close the door. Please do not try to make everything possible, because out of us, we fit in the big, and they need what we're doing.
Absolutely.
As well. So.
No, of course. And I think that, I mean, again, I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. It's so true. I mean, and everyone does have their own path, and everyone finds what works for them, and having guidance from an instructor or a mentor or a coach, definitely you find your way, and with their knowledge and with their training, you're able to get to where you'll ultimately end up. And so part of the process that I've experienced with you, which is something that I definitely wanted to highlight, is just, you know, having a daily routine. And that is something that you have instilled in me from the very beginning. From the first day I walked into the school, there wasn't even a dance floor yet. You were still building it. But the first thing I took away was you set an intention for the day and you work for it. And when you go home, what you do at home is what's going to prepare you to go and do it again the next day. And I think that's a big part of not just your mentality, but I've had the privilege of now being your student, and of course now, especially having Carlos in charge with Birmingham Royal Ballet, is being exposed to that kind of Cuban mentality and the way that we work. You know, when you're at work, you're at work, and when you're at home, you're at home, and you're allowed to be a person, but you're also, part of who you are is someone who's driven. It's someone who is dedicated, and it's someone who is very goal orientated, that you're going to carry that through your life. It's not just something that stays at ballet, and it's not just something that you choose to turn on and off in all these other aspects. And so what the question that I wanted to ask you was, how do you motivate your students? Because I know that there are days, you've seen me, the days where everything hurts, or you're upset because the pirouette didn't work, or you didn't get this audition. What do you do for your students, or what advice can you give to someone who is in a place that they need to be pulled out of?
Well, first you have to be there. You have to listen to their concerns. You have to listen to their problems, and you have to put yourself in their shoes first, to then give them advice. Second, you have to remember what you went through as a dancer, personally, the teacher, and realize that now you're talking to yourself 20 years before. What will you want to hear when someone comes to you like that? That's what we nurture the kids. That's what we see it. I mean, usually kids, because I think about myself at that moment, think that their life stops right there. They don't realize that there's more days before, after that, you know? So you have to sort of, without imposing, you have to sort of talk to them and help them through the situation. Okay? There's nothing more pleasant to see a dancer be themselves. When the dancer is happy, the art comes out like shiny, beautiful star, you know, in whichever level, young one, middle one, older one, professional. You have to be happy as a dancer, as a person first, to be complete as a dancer. You have to put some humanity behind that artist, so they can really put the art in right out front. And as humans, we are imperfect, totally imperfect. Mm-hmm. So we have exactly. So you have to behave. You know, those bad days, you have to give them a chance. You have to tell them, please, just relax, stop. Maybe today is not the day. Let's focus on something simpler. Let's work on the arms. Don't insist on the jumps. Let's work in musicality. Let's work on something that takes their mind out of that difficult moment. So you help them through, and then the next day, I guarantee you, they come a totally different student, and a different person. Ballet is so hard. It's so hard to do. It's so perfect. It has so intricate. Yeah. You know that. To do dance, you have to be self-motivated. So right there, the teacher just have to be smart enough and clever enough to help guide that student to be the best dancer there is, being first a person.
Definitely. And I mean, again, I can only speak off of my experience because I've had you in my life, and you have seen the best of Allie and the worst of Allie. And, you know, personally speaking, you saw one of the hardest decisions I've ever made in my life was choosing to step away from Houston Ballet, where I was for 3 years. And I ended up, you know, and maybe this isn't public knowledge, maybe people don't know this about me, but you know, I took an entire season off before going to Birmingham Royal Ballet. And during that time, I went through a really, really challenging time, mentally, emotionally, physically, where I was depressed. I didn't want to dance. In fact, I didn't for several months. I was of the mindset that I'm done, and I wasn't happy. I wasn't being fulfilled. And furthermore, I didn't like me. I didn't like my dancing and what I was doing. And one would be able to look at me now and look in pictures and say, wow, she's got a really great career. She should be happy, you know, she's living in England and dancing with one of the greatest, well, what I feel is a really great company. But there's a lot of struggle, and I think at some point in everyone's career and in everyone's life, we all go through those ups and downs. And if it wasn't for exactly everything you just said, I might not be dancing anymore right now.
You know,
and I wanted to point out that at the time, even where I was not wearing pointe shoes, I was not doing any ballet at all, you were still coaching me through that, and you were still being able to provide me with, you know, you didn't come this far to come this far. And not saying in my ballet, in life, you know? And that is something that I think is so important to be able to have, whether it's a parent or whether it's a teacher like yourself, to have someone who is going to be there, who's going to be that figure of, you know what, this is not what you're doing. This is not where you're going to end. Whether, and you even told me, whether I decided to, you know, retire from ballet indefinitely, you said that where I was at right now was not acceptable for me because we worked too hard for something better. And I value that to this day. And, you know, I just saw this question roll through, which I wanted to quickly bring up. Someone wrote in and asked, what is your personal greatest memory or greatest achievement for having myself as a student?
and I want to simply say, having you talking to me right now, in that role that you are having right now, because I remember exactly how you got to us, how you came back home before you went out and audition. And I remember, and it pained me deeply because you went through a tough, very, very tough time. And I really didn't know. I really didn't know if you were going to get out of it or not. It was scary for me. Yeah. And I just had to put my best face in front of you because I couldn't let you down. And I had to push you through and I had to help you through. But it was a scary time. So for you to, after you came, stay home for a while, and you got into your to the tunnel again, and were ready to go out and do the auditions. You know, it was difficult. It was
definitely one of the hardest decisions I made in my life. And it's amazing because if you were to look, you know, because I spent the whole year at home with you, with my family and everything. And looking back, from the lowest I've ever been in my career, in my personal life, would we have ever thought, fast forward a year, I mean, well, obviously not with everything coronavirus, but looking on the other side of things, that where we've ended up, how you've been able to, not just myself, but with all of your students, but because we were using myself as this example, you know, would you have ever imagined that it would have been this dramatic and this amazing of a 360?
No, actually, that's what I wanted to answer the question. This is the moment that I feel extremely proud of you, because you came out of it. You struggled, you fought, you you were determined, and there were days that weren't that good, and there were like down days. But anyways, you came out on top. And that's a proud moment, you know. Someone that turns around and come back to the light itself and say, no, I done too much. I worked too hard. I deserve better.
Yeah.
You know. So this is my proud moment from you guys.
No, definitely. And I mean, again, I know everyone has different trainers and everyone has different people in their life, but why you are so valuable to me goes beyond what we have done in the studio and what we've put together on stage. You know, this is like my second dad here. You know, I almost feel kind of funny doing like an interview because, you know, rewind when I was 13, and Panchi, who is Francisco Serrano, who is Ariel's son, he's also dancing at the Royal Ballet in London. You know, this is something where we would wake up in the morning and we would go to the studio. It was just the two of us when you first opened, you know, it was just a handful of us to begin with. And we would do ballet all day in the morning. We would do schoolwork. And I mean, in fact, there was at one point when Panchi and I were learning to drive behind the school. I mean, you were watching us learn how to do pirouettes and watching us learn how to parallel park. So
I saw you both in the first lift ever. I remember that day like it was yesterday. You know, I mean, it's those are the things. Those are the things that
It's been a
you know.
journey.
That's it. And I remember lots of those days, and the bad ones I have them in my head as well, because those help me to deal with my own kids now, and it's a process. And you know, it is amazing to see the life of a young kid develop and evolve in front of one. You know,
Absolutely, absolutely. And
so
I think the most amazing thing too, and this is something that I've seen not only in myself, but in a lot of the other students, pretty much all of the other students who have at some point been through your doors and been through a part of your life. And it doesn't just stop with the ballet with you. You know, I get phone calls from you just to make sure that I am, you know, paying my bills and I am doing okay, and, you know, motivating me to make sure I'm doing everything I need to be doing to be successful in my career right now. So, you know, I think that again, like having a constant reminder, because I think that oftentimes people think that as soon as I get into a company, I'll be okay, like I've made it. But I think it's very
no,
important to remember that once you make it into a company, you're really starting all over again. Like, yes,
it's
of
a new
course, you've
life.
got the contract and you're getting paid now, but now is when the hard work really begins, because we all want to have a career like the one that you've had, where you've been able to dance internationally, you've gotten to do those principal roles, you know, the ones that you learn when you're 12 and 13 and you dream about dancing. And so I wanted to tap into your experience. How has your outlook on ballet and this art form changed from being a student to being a professional and being now a artistic director?
Well, it's a dramatic change. For example, when you are a dancer, you think about yourself, you think about your technique, you think about how to make the step better. And it is a one-on-one relationship. Of course, when you have a partner, you have to work on that relationship as well. And when you do corps de ballet, you also have to have a different outlook. So it's a very different look when you have in front of you 15, 20 kids teaching a class.
Yeah,
You are responsible
absolutely.
for those 15, 20 kids. You are responsible for once for what they're learning, two for how they're behaving, three for where they go and for what they do at the end of it. I have students like you and many others that are in professional companies, but I also have students that become something totally different. They have gone to school,
Yeah.
they are teachers themselves, they have different life, and I still follow those and I still listen and hear them, because not because they didn't go into professional companies and don't become professionals, that they don't they are less for us, because it's a relationship student teacher, so it's a completely different outlook. um, I don't know. The first time I got to feel very nervous was with that group, your group, Panchi, you, Adriana, and Sisi. They went to Atlanta because the competition itself wasn't well, it was a big deal at the moment, but it's not like life and death situation. But nevertheless, we were representing a small studio. We were representing a small
It
group.
was putting us in a vulnerable situation to,
Yes, and so
yeah.
that for me was a different kind of nervous. When I went to stage, I was nervous for 2 seconds when I came out, and that's it. But when you are a teacher, you are nervous the whole time until they're done. And there's nothing you can do as a teacher, because you actually are watching them do. So it is stressful for a teacher. I learned to have fun now, and I learned to have obviously I have confidence, and I tell the kids that you perform as well as you are prepared. And
Definitely.
even then, if something goes wrong, it's only one show. There's another show coming later, so not to
Absolutely.
worry. And they will have our support regardless. They do give 100%, and that's enough for us. You give your 100%, and whatever happens, happen. Because you never know. It's just the humanity on the art as well. because every day is different. So right now, at this moment, I'm enjoying more the performance time, the process, that the coaching. I love the coaching. I miss it so much. The interaction I miss so much. But answering your question is a different type of feeling. Once you coach,
Yeah.
or once you direct, then once you dance by yourself.
Definitely. And so I wanted to quickly take another question that someone wrote in. I think this is coming from a parent. I have a ballet student at home, and they really, really want to pursue this professionally. But as a parent, they have a lot of concerns about what this means for their future because, I mean, I can understand this. My mom
Yeah.
was so reluctant to pulling me out of school and homeschooling me. That was a big decision because obviously your education is super important with whatever you do in your life. And then from a social aspect, not being around as many people in a school type environment. And then they were asking, can my child actually have a career and be able to live doing this? I think maybe that is touching a little bit on financially. The arts is definitely something that is underfunded in some companies and in some regions of the world. And it goes without saying that there are some many ballet companies out there that don't necessarily pay their dancers what we feel we should be getting. It's a
Yes.
it's a very difficult conversation to be had because traditionally speaking, ballet dancers do not make as much as a brain surgeon would. So yeah, what advice could you give to parents who maybe have concerns about a child wanting to pursue a ballet career and what they can do to help their child? Whether it's pursuing a professional ballet career or maybe training all throughout high school and then aiming their focus towards going to dance in college.
Well, as you know, ballet careers are not very very long. Um, so with all that is happening nowadays, schooling is very important. So hand in hand with ballet, you can have good schooling, good network support to have you do courses and do extracurricular things and
Yeah.
courses to be able to, when you finish ballet, continue in life. Okay, but if your kid is ready, if your kid has the physical talent, if your kid has the emotional and mental capacity to deal with ballet, not everyone can deal with ballet. um, I will definitely allow them, and let them pursue this, making sure that you have a good support, a good base for schooling at the same time, but why not? I mean, it's a beautiful art. It's a beautiful expression of itself, of oneself. So why not? My own son dance professionally. My daughter is pursuing a career. There's a lot of opportunity for kids to study and do studies online and
Yeah.
do So it is possible. It is very much possible. Why not?
Definitely, definitely. And kind of along, very similar to that, you've been in the ballet world in this industry for years. You know exactly what it takes. You know exactly just how difficult it is, and you know what it's like to experience the amazing highs and the difficult lows. And through that, there's a lot of stereotypes, there's a lot of stigmas, there's a lot of things that people label ballet dancers with, or especially being a ballet dancer, sometimes there's a lot of unfair judgment. We'll call it unfair judgment. And so what is something in the ballet world, whether it's in companies, schools, in general, what is one thing that when we get back to doing what we love to do in the studios, on the stage, what would you love to see change about the ballet world?
Well, I like to, going back to the simple matter of why you there for. You know,
Yeah.
why you are at the studio for. Isn't a ballet the most important thing for you to sacrifice to wake up early and go to school early to then come up and dance? So let's do and have that moment so shared, so precious that is not nothing can bother you when you are
Sure.
in the ballet class. So I like to see them putting technology down, meaning phones and all that kind of entertainment, things that really don't matter for dancing, putting them down and take really good care of themselves and to listen to what the coaching is, and then and uh, and really spend the day productively for ballet, for what
Yeah.
they work so hard for. So I would like. I mean, nowadays it's difficult because the today's generation is has this thing in the hand, and look, technology is
We're
fantastic.
all,
We're
yeah.
gonna take it. Yeah, we're doing this, but there is a moment for it. And what something that I think is becoming a little bit negative is the inclusion of this into classes, into
Yeah.
every moment trying to become trying to be an out there moment with the phone. So let's just put them down and put the hands on the bar to warm up, and then come and center hands free, phone free. So
It's interesting that you mentioned that about electronics, phones. That's something that Birmingham Royal Ballet, or actually Carlos, takes very seriously. Like, since he's
I'm
arrived
glad.
here,
Glad.
we have implemented a new law per se, no, a new rule per se, that once we walk through that door, phones away. I mean, obviously there's exceptions. We have dancers in the company who are parents and they need to have a phone near
Yeah.
them if the school calls and it's their child. He's so human about that, and he's so realistic. But the mindset of when you're there to work, and you want to be respectful and courteous of those around you, and of course the people who are at the front of the room helping you. So I think I think it's an amazing thing. I think that the phones can be a great tool to like film yourself, to watch and see corrections, but not at the
Yeah.
expense of, oh, I'm going to use this video later on Instagram. Obviously people do that and it's fine, but I think you don't
Yeah.
want it to detract from
Yeah.
your
No,
dancing.
no,
And I think
absolutely.
the culture of social media, definitely, it can be a really positive thing, but it could also be a bit of a distraction. So, and then one last question, because I don't want to run out of time. Everyone
Yes,
has been
absolutely.
sending in so many amazing things, and I'm just like, oh, let's try to get all of them. You know, because and this is more from the standpoint of you're a father. What is the biggest wish that you have for your children, your students?
Well, first, I have to say that their dreams, their dream to become a dancer is what I really, I wish the most for them to all experience in a way their dream to become a dancer, and to be the best they can be. But in reality, in essence, what I think they wish the most is for them to be good persons, because ballet will end, around
Definitely.
45, 50-year old, it will end. Then life goes on, and the person still and stay there. So I think I take ballet as a tool to encourage to become a better person themselves, and to be good to one another. And ballet is just a tool. It's the wonderful moment that we live in, the wonderful high that we live at the moment when we're dancing and we're turning and we're jumping. But after that, who stays is the person. So that's my best and better wish for them, for all of them. My son, my daughter, you're my daughter too. You're my dance daughter as well. So to all of those students, that's our student. That's the wish. And
Absolutely. And I mean, oh, this has just been the most amazing conversation having with you on here. I'm sure I'm going to need to bring you back, but I did want to just thank you again for
Yes.
not only everything that you've given to me, but hopefully everything that you've said today that people will be able to take away from. And I wanted to be able to quickly shout out the Sarasota Cuban Ballet School on, I believe it's April 28th and 29th. They have their annual giving challenge, which I participated in last year, and I definitely want to encourage you guys all to take a look and be active and be part of that. You know, this is a time where we're all very challenged financially and with resources. And so if you have the ability to donate, if you have the ability to contribute in some small way, that would be so appreciated. And that goes even beyond the Sarasota Cuban Ballet School. It goes into our world, being conscientious, using local retailers, local farmers, and especially just being conscientious and being mindful. This is really difficult for so many people, and if you have the ability to contribute and help someone out in any way, I encourage you all to do that. And especially I want to encourage to everyone to take a look at the Sarasota Cuban Ballet School, because they're doing some amazing things there. And I'm so happy I'm in my job, but I'm kind of jealous that I can't take your classes every day anymore. All of your students are so lucky. I miss it so much.
Thank you so much, girl.
I wanted to quickly bring that out there. And of course,
let me give you a little bit of a.
Go ahead.
We have the srqcubanballet.com website. Visit there.
Yes.
And you will have the info for the April 28 to 29 from noon to noon giving challenge situation for us. So visit the srqcubanballet.com website, and you have all the info you need for that.
I've got all of that on allieetoile.com for those who are watching this as well. If you guys want to find out more about the Sarasota Cuban Ballet School, about the lovely Mr. Ariel Serrano, and of course, this video is going to be, it's being recorded right now. Congratulations, you've made it on my YouTube. It's going to be on my YouTube for people to be able to watch at a later date if they didn't get to see the whole thing.
I want to say hi to all of my students that are out there, to all of them. All of them.
Yes, hi you guys.
Love you guys, and I miss you.
I miss you guys all too. And it's funny, now that I'm home in Florida, I'm just a little bit down the road from you guys, which is like, I want to pull my hair out because I want to come to the school. I want to see you guys. But all in due time, we will be back.
Absolutely.
And of course, I can't thank you again for being part of this series with me. My screen is just overflowing with people, so I'm sure we'll need to bring you back on here. But thank you for everything today. It has been so wonderful. I love and miss you, Mr. Ariel. And
thank you, my girl.
For those who are watching, thank you guys so much for being part of this episode of Conversations with allieetoile. And we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.